Have you ever wished you could learn songs faster on the drums? Have you ever panicked when you're on a gig and the band leader calls a tune you've never played before? Well, you really can get good at cheating your way through a song when you know what to look out for. Today we're talking about song form prediction, which is a really cool hack, how to train your ear to hear things you never heard before, but also how to raise your technical ceiling so that you're able to shift your focus more from the physical to the mental, to the listening. That way you really can nail every song with ease. This is really cool stuff. These are the secrets to not only learning a song fast, but also fooling the audience into thinking you've played a song 100 times when maybe this is actually your first time through it. This is very much a learned skill. Very cool, very applicable stuff. You can do this. Let's dig in. Hey, welcome to the Non-Glamorous Drummer. This is a channel where we're all about learning the core, most important, crucial skills so that you can save time and cut to the chase and get results, get transformation in your playing and be able to nail songs and just become a master of the instrument. So we're all about giving you the core skills that really help you get there. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe and also grab my totally free e-guide, my gift to you, in the description. It's called 5 Steps to Learning Any Song in Under an Hour without drum tabs or YouTube tutorials, without having to consult internet resources like that. Just you can sit down and actually learn the song yourself. It's a very cool thing, something you can be very proud of and confident in. Very cool guide. It goes into a lot of detail into what we're talking about today. It's definitely your accompanying PDF to today's lesson. So be sure to check that out if you're really wanting to train your ear and learn how to write a cheat sheet chart that helps you memorize songs and be able to prepare for a gig very quickly. Really, that's what this boils down to. So the guide is your tangible companion to what we're talking about today, so be sure to go grab that as we get started. All right, on with today's lesson. There have been so many times that I've either had to learn songs for a gig like last minute, like literally a couple hours till the gig and I get a call and I've got to learn some songs, or I'm on the gig and half the songs we're playing I don't know because I wasn't given those songs in the set list, or the guy I'm subbing for didn't actually send me the correct set list, and so I'm having to kind of just fly by the seat of my pants and literally play by ear and try to hang in there. And the thing is, these are not rare situations. These kinds of things happen all the time, and a lot of the best drummers out there are the session guys who are jumping in on sessions and very quickly having to learn songs. Or, you get in there in the session, you've never heard the song, you listen to the demo once, and then you go start recording. And so regardless of where you're at, whether you're a beginner drummer getting into the realm of starting to learn songs, or you're intermediate and you're doing pretty well at jamming out at your kit at home, or you're getting out and you're playing gigs, or you're getting into recording, no matter where you are, there's always going to be song learning in some form or fashion, and we're always going to want to get better at learning quickly and learning by ear and playing by ear when we don't actually get to learn the song. And so this is really important. This kind of stuff that I'm sharing with you today is kind of the under-talked about, underrated. You don't find many videos on YouTube about this, especially from drum channels. But yeah, these things, these methods, these concepts have been so core for me because I've been a gigging drummer for years now, I've been playing full-time professional for like 6 years now. But I've been playing with people, with bands for going on 12, 13 years. And all of my time of doing this, ear training, knowing what to listen for, knowing how to approach a song and how to learn a song and what to listen for on a gig, that's all so much more practical than all the licks and the fills and all of that kind of stuff that you learn from so many YouTube videos out there. Yes, we've got to work on our technique and we've got to work on mastering our instrument, but eventually we've done enough of that where we've got to work on our ear. It becomes a mental game. So that's mostly what we're focusing on today. So first thing, this is really cool because it feels like a hack. It really does feel like a cheat. That's why I say 3 hacks for cheating your way through a new song. This first one is know the genre and the general form of the song. Because if you think about it, so let's say you're playing at your church every week. And so you're playing a lot of these worship songs. And if it's a lot of modern worship stuff, these songs tend to become pretty predictable. That's not a bad thing. That's just the way styles of music are. Certain styles all follow the same trends. And so if you play worship music every Sunday, eventually you start to notice a lot of things that a lot of songs have in common. Or maybe you're playing in a classic rock band, you're playing covers on the weekends, you start to notice a lot of those songs have a lot in common. Maybe you're playing in a party band, a dance band, you notice that, all of these Motown songs and all these soul, 70s dance pop songs, they all have a lot in common. So you start to notice these trends. What's cool is that when you know the form and you know what to expect within that genre, you can pretty easily fake your way through a song you haven't heard before. What we could call the typical pop form is a song that just follows an A, B, A form. A is that verse chorus part. You know, most songs, especially pop songs, have a verse and a chorus, so that's A. If A is verse chorus, then we could say A, there's verse chorus, B is the bridge, because there's always going to be something that happens in the song that might feel unexpected or new or fresh to the listener, and it helps make the song feel complete. If you don't have a bridge or something unique or different later in the song, then it kind of feels like you didn't go anywhere interesting. However, there are a lot of songs that don't have bridges, but we'll talk about some of those. So most of the time, these songs follow that A, B, there's the bridge, back to A form, where A might be another verse or it might just be a chorus. And so more specifically, we can just call this verse, chorus, bridge, chorus. Somewhere maybe after that bridge or before that bridge, there might be a guitar solo, there might be a jam section. A lot of times there's little details like that that'll change, of course, from song to song, because no artist wants their song to be just like all the other songs. But there's that certain core framework that most songs follow because it just feels right. It just, when you have a verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, it just feels right. It makes sense. It feels complete. It's just like a story that has a beginning and has a middle, and then it ends kind of in a full circle way because it's ending kind of the way it started. And so it just makes sense. That's why that happens so often. What's also very predictable are song section lengths. Now, even if you don't read music, even if you're new to counting, this is very simple because most songs you play on a gig are going to be in 4/4 time. That just means you're counting to 4. You're playing 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And if we were counting measures, it would just be 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, ba-da-doom, doom, bump. And maybe that's the end of that section. Most songs are built in 4-bar, 8-bar, or 16-bar phrases, which is very predictable and very natural feeling. Because naturally we feel 4 as complete, we feel 8 as complete, and 16 being twice as long as 8, that also feels complete. And in a fast song, it's not unusual to have a 16-bar chorus. You don't have to sit there and count to 16 as you're playing. It'll just feel natural. You get to the end of that and it feels natural and it makes sense. And so if there's a brand new song that you're playing for the first time and it follows that pop format of verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, and all of the section lengths are either 4, 8, or 16 bars, you're going to pretty easily be able to fake your way through there. There's a saying that I don't remember who I first heard this from, but it was, you can fake your way through grooves and fills. Like you can make up parts. You can fake your way through that, but you can't fake your way through an arrangement you don't know. You know, you could butcher the kick drum pattern. You could play the wrong fill, but it's going to be okay. It's not going to be the end of the world as long as you know when the chorus happens, or as long as you know when we're going into the bridge, or as long as you know when you've got to drop out for something, which probably the bass player will cue you on, which is another thing that if you're playing a song for the first time on a gig, a lot of times you don't have to be that scared because the band wants you to do well, and they're going to help cue you. They're not going to just leave you out to dry. They're not going to leave you hanging. Everybody, it's a group effort. You know, it's not like you're just isolated and you're having to play a song for the first time. You've got people around you that are eager to help you out. We'll talk about that a little more in a moment. But let's look through a few of my charts. So I have a whole cheat sheet chart writing system, and it's all in the guide that I mentioned a minute ago, the 5 steps to learning any song in under an hour, free PDF guide. You can grab the guide in the description. It has all of this that I'm showing you. I'm flipping through some charts here on my iPad. I'll put them on the screen. So take a song like Easy by the Commodores. I think we've all heard that one, so it's a good example. Look at the form of that song. Verse, chorus, bridge, chorus. Now, yeah, there are other little things in there, like there's an intro, a piano intro at the top. There's a guitar solo after the bridge. That's very normal. That happens all the time. We could classify that as part of the bridge. And so, again, when we condense this form to the verse, chorus, and then a bridge, and then a chorus with the jam section, it's literally just A, B, A. Very predictable. And so if you've never heard this song before, but you've played a lot of songs like it, kind of from that era, you could probably get through this song. Now, yes, this song has some weird hits. It has some weird rhythms. And the thing is, if we're realistic, if you're playing a song for the first time that has some of those intricacies, you're not going to know to hit those things. You're not going to know the exact fill to play. You're not going to know the exact rhythm to hit. But the thing is, you can still get through it. You can still fake your way through it. You can still cheat your way through it, and you can still survive. Sometimes survival is the goal on a gig when a brand new tune gets called and you don't know what it is. You've just got to do the best you can, knowing that it's not going to be perfect, knowing that you're not going to hit all the intricacies. But the overall big picture arrangement, the big picture of the song is more important than those little details, especially when you've got the band around you helping cue you and you can listen and pay attention. Check out Superstition. So this song is really a verse, chorus, verse, chorus, chorus, verse, chorus. It kind of looks random. Like when you just look at the form here, it looks random. But what's interesting is there's an instrumental chorus down here where you can see I've put in parentheses instrumental, and I wrote out there to ride bell. So that particular chorus there, the feel kind of changes a little bit, the groove changes a little bit, and that chorus actually functions as a bridge. Really, it feels like something new, like, oh, we're going somewhere new. Even though we've kind of been there before, it just feels different this time. And so really that would be the bridge of Superstition. So when we consider that a bridge, we see that predictable form is happening. We've got a verse, chorus, bridge, verse, chorus. Nothing out of the ordinary there. Sure, those little details change, and sure, there's a drum intro and an 8-bar intro, and then there's a turn that fades out at the end. There are always going to be those intricacies that vary from song to song, but big picture-wise, this is very predictable. Same story with Everything She Does Is Magic by The Police. You know, this is one of those songs that it's long, it's got a big long jam at the end. A lot of songs from 70s and 80s have long just jams at the end that fade out. And so that's pretty normal. And that's where the band is going to cue you as far as how it ends. You know, if you're playing this song on a gig and it's like, wait, how are we ending this? How are we ending this? You don't have to worry about it because everybody's going to look at each other and you'll know when to end it. And so that's not something to stress about either. But look at this song. It goes verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, and then ends with a jam section that's just kind of a continuation of the chorus. Very predictable. Same form we've been seeing a whole bunch. Pretty much any of these songs that I've got the charts for here at the end of the guide. Download the guide so you can see all these. I think there's like 10 of them. They all follow this format. There's always some sort of verse, chorus, and that'll happen twice, and then there's a bridge, a guitar solo, something different, and then we wrap up with a chorus, maybe a verse, chorus. Very predictable. And so when you learn to look out for these things, and when you've listened to a bunch of songs, and you've played a bunch of songs, you realize there's nothing new under the sun, and you realize, unless you're just playing some bizarre genre with some really eclectic band that plays weird stuff, assuming that you're playing pop stuff, assuming that you're playing typical popular music, you're going to encounter these forms, and you're going to start to get good at predicting things, and you're going to have a hunch that you know what's coming up, and when you combine that knowledge, that expectation, that anticipation of what's coming, with actively listening, that we're going to talk about now, really, you don't have much to be afraid of. You can do it. You can actually cheat your way through a song. So now, let's talk about, really, this is our big second hack. So that was our first hack. Know the song form, know the song lengths, and just be aware that a lot of songs are predictable. Our second one is be listening intently to the musicians around you. And what we're going to talk about today is an ear training exercise that will help you do that. When you're able to actively listen to what's going on around you, everything gets easier, everything becomes less nerve-wracking, everything becomes less scary because the band around you, the people you're playing with, they're kind of your safety net. You know, it's not just you playing a drum solo and trying to not mess up. You're a part of something bigger, you're a part of a group effort, a team effort, and collectively everyone wants to sound good and play well together, and so you can look at each other, you can cue each other, and that really makes this so much less stressful. So be actively listening to the musicians around you. Let's talk about some ways to build up those skills. Here's what I want you to do. You can do this right now as you're watching the video, or as soon as you're done watching the video, you can do this. Grab some headphones, your favorite streaming platform on your computer, phone, iPad, whatever, a comfy chair, and get ready to critically listen. I don't know where you're at on the drums or in music. I don't know if you have a background in music, if you've played other instruments. I don't know if you're, one of those people who is a genuine fan of music and you just sit and you listen to music. I don't know where you're at on this spectrum, but I know for me personally, there was a time when I realized I had never sat down and really listened to music. I'd heard music all my life. I jammed out on my electric drum set when I was in high school to all my favorite songs. But it wasn't until I got in college that I actually sat down with my headphones on and really just paid attention to what I was hearing. And that was such a game-changing thing, because I had never really picked up on so much nuance and subtlety in music and really noticed things that were going on. There were so many things that just went over my head really as a kid until I reached a point of maturity where I could actually patiently sit down and listen. So I don't know where you're at on that. I don't know if you've ever sat down and really listened. If you have, Hopefully what I'm about to share with you will help you do it in a deeper way. If you haven't, hopefully just literally sitting down with headphones on, sitting in a comfy chair, relaxing with nothing on your mind except listening to the music, hopefully that's going to really deepen your ear's ability to hear things just by doing it. And this can be a really fun experience too. So whether you're a Spotify person or an Apple Music person, I personally like Apple Music because they've got lossless audio. As of the taping of this video, Spotify is not doing that yet. Apple Music also has spatial audio, which is this really cool surround feature that a lot of new songs are being mixed in, and a lot of old classics have been remixed in. So if you're an Apple Music person, make sure you've got it updated because you can go check out the spatial audio, which sounds incredible. It really does feel like you're immersed in the music and it's happening up and down and all around you. It's really cool. Very cool listening experience, and it makes it easier to pick out things going on when you're hearing it that way. So definitely my push for Apple Music. I think there's a free 3-month trial if you want to test it out. So once you've got your streaming ready to go, you've got the music there, you've got the headphones, comfy chair, pull up just a favorite song. Doesn't matter what it is, just a favorite song. Ideally something that's got some stuff going on, you know, like there's drums, there's bass, there's vocal, and all the usual things. Ultimately, it doesn't matter, but let's start with something like that where we have the typical predictable elements. So this could be a rock tune from the 70s. That's a great place to start. You know, bands were live tracking in the 70s, real instruments, real people in a room together, Beatles, Zeppelin, you know, anybody like that where you can hear the individual instruments, real instruments played by real people. That's a great place to start. So that would be my recommendation. But ultimately, it doesn't matter the song. I want you to listen to it. And what we're going to do, I just call this the 3-listen exercise. You might have heard me talk before about the 6-listen exercise that goes even deeper and more specific with this. I'll link that video in the description if you want to check that out. But I recommend just starting with the 3-listen. All we're going to do the first time listening to it, is we're going to listen to the drums. Just listen to the drums. So as you've got the song playing, just pay attention to the drums. What's the kick sound like? What's the snare sound like? You might not be able to pick up on all the detail of what's going on in that first pass, and that's fine. You've got however many more times to listen to it. There's no rule that says you've got to listen to all the drum stuff in this first listen. You can do multiple listens of just listening to the drums, listening to the kick drum pattern. And is the drummer going to the hi-hat or the ride? Is it hi-hat in the verse, ride in the chorus, or does the ride never come in? When are the crashes happening? Are there crash cymbals at all? Is there a tom fill or a snare fill? Those are those are the overall things we want to pay attention to. Not so much note for note what's happening. It's more like, what are the musical decisions that the drummer's making? Is it a busy groove? Is it a sparse groove? How open or closed are the hi-hats? What are the big overarching things that are happening? So you can listen to it a couple times, but basically this first listen is we just want to listen to the drums. Now for our second listen, we want to listen to really whatever the most prominent instrument is. I know that sounds a little bit vague, but what I mean is, like, if you're listening to David Bowie, I think Starman is a song I'm thinking of. I think it's called Starman. I think that's the song. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's very acoustic guitar driven. It starts off with that acoustic guitar. It's got those really cool chords. And then the drums come in when the verse starts. So that's a song where you can definitely hear all the instruments, but the acoustic guitar is very much a prominent instrument. Versus if you were to listen to a lot of Elton John stuff. That's going to be very piano driven because he was playing piano. And so if you're listening to Rocket Man, you're probably going to hear a lot of piano. So depending on the song, there's going to be a prominent instrument that's kind of the driving force, the instrument that all the other instruments are determined by. And if that's an instrument that the lead singer was playing, there you go. So listen to that. On the second listen through, just listen to either the guitar or the piano, keyboard, whatever it is that's kind of the main instrument that you hear. A lot of times it's going to be very closely intertwined with the vocal, with the melody, and interacting with that. That's what's really cool, especially if you've got a singer who's playing that instrument. What they're playing is affected by what they're singing is affected by what they're playing, and so those two kind of operate as one unit. But then for the third listen, focus on the vocal, focus on the melody. And so that would include riffs, like riffs that happen in instrumentals or like guitar solos, whatever the melodic material is of the moment, which most of the time would be a vocal in a pop song. Listen to that, pay attention to that. How is the singer phrasing things? Like, are they singing things in a smooth manner? Is it really rigid? And what's really cool, this was very, very game-changing for me, that the more I listened to vocal and melody in music, the more I started to notice the relationship between the drums and those melodies, those rhythms. Because a lot of times drum fills and drum parts stem from the melody. I'd say 90% of the time they do. It depends on the genre of music, but a lot of times a drum fill will happen either to fill a space left by the vocal or to emphasize a rhythm that's being sung by the vocalist. So a lot of times those two are intertwined. So you've got maybe the guitar and the piano that are playing chords and that are basically, smoothly underneath the vocal. But then you've got the drums and the bass that are also playing directly in relation to that vocal. It's not like the drummer's over here doing his own thing and the singer's over here doing her own thing. It's all one unit. It's all working together. And what's cool is that the more you do this and the more you notice these things, the deeper you dig into this, you start to realize the relationships. And what's very cool is that you as a drummer begin to internalize a lot of this, and you begin to notice, oh, as I'm playing, I'm basing what I'm playing off of what I'm hearing, which is the melody, or maybe it's what the acoustic guitar or the piano's doing. And that's where you want to be. That's where you want to get. And that doesn't happen overnight. This doesn't happen in a few weeks. It doesn't even happen in a few months. And for me personally, it was years. I think I could have gotten there quicker, and it was just a maturing process. And so I feel like it took longer than it should have. Maybe I just needed to grow up. I needed to get over myself and not worry so much about me and what I was playing and shift my focus to outside the drum set and outside of my world. And that was really where that change happened and where my playing became more mature and more musical. And so that's something that you want to be doing. So do this exercise and go check out the 6-listen version that's just even more detailed, which is also in the guide that I mentioned earlier. So download the guide, check out the 6-listen video. That'll give you an even more detailed way to do this. But the next thing that you want to do, once you've done this and you've practiced this with a few songs, this is something to do every day, by the way. Sit down and listen to a new song every day, really listening. But then practice also doing this while you're playing. So maybe you've taken that same song that you just listened to, now you've got it playing, and now you're playing along. Try to listen to those same things while you're playing. You can begin to train your brain, your ear, to split up and listen to multiple things at once. That's so cool. That's so practical. That's something that we drummers have got to be able to do. Coordination is not just a limb thing. It's also an ear thing, where we need to be able to listen to this while listening to that, while listening to this, and this is going to help you do it. So practice that 3-listen exercise while playing along. And you can start with a simple song like Billie Jean if you want to. Doesn't have to be a complicated song with a lot of detailed parts. Find something simple so that you can just play and you can settle into it and relax and try to actively listen to the other parts going on while playing. And of course, the next level to take this to is do it while playing with real musicians. Do this on a gig. Do this while jamming. When you're able to be playing with real people and you're able to listen specifically to what the singer's doing, what the keyboard player's doing, what the bass player's doing while you're playing, that's how you know, okay, now I'm getting there. Now I'm getting where I want to be. This is how I become a musical drummer who knows how to improvise and create the right parts, because we don't want to reach into fill vocabularies or groove vocabularies. We just want to play music. We want to play what feels natural. And the only way to do that is by listening, just like this. That's how you do it. So do a little of this every day. Know that it takes time, but over time you're going to reach this point of aural maturity, if you want to call it that, listening maturity, where your ears develop and you're able to hear things you haven't heard before. Just be patient with it. Know that you can do it, because this is still a learned skill. They say some people are born with a good ear, others aren't. I don't know. Maybe some people are born with an ability to hear more stuff, but I know this was something I had to work at. It took a lot of time to really get to where I could confidently, comfortably listen to other things while playing. So know that it's not always quick and easy. It takes some time, but you can get there and it really will pay off. Third hack. Now, this is a little bit of a caveat, kind of feels like a disclaimer, where it's like, you can do the previous two things. You can know song form and get really comfortable with a genre and be able to just dive into any song in that genre and predict it and be able to play it well and improvise it well. You can do that. You can be able to listen really well. But this third hack, this is something that if there's any trouble going on here, then it could cause this whole thing to be very difficult. Here's what I'm getting at. Have a high enough technical ceiling to confidently play the genre technique-wise. In other words, if you have a high enough technical ceiling, if you're physically, technique-wise, able to play everything within that genre, that's your third hack, where that means that physically, nothing to worry about. You can just focus on listening. That's where you want to be, because that means all you got to do is listen. You can fake your way through something and know that your hands and your feet and your coordination and all that is going to be just fine. But if there are issues going on that distract from listening, that distract from paying attention to the form, that distract from thinking ahead to what's coming next, then there's going to be trouble. For instance, are there problems going on with your weak hand? Are there any hand technique problems going on that might be distracting you or holding you back? Are there coordination weaknesses? Like, does your right foot have a hard time really locking with your right hand? Left foot, when you're trying to play open hi-hat notes, is left foot a little bit sloppy? Is the left hand just not comfortable, because it's a weak hand. It just doesn't feel good. Are there little issues like that, kind of those nagging issues that are distracting, and you're having to focus a lot of brain power on those things while you're playing? Odds are, if you're able to do that 3-listen exercise a minute ago really well, sitting in the comfy chair with the headphones on, but then you get onto the kit and you play and you try to do the same thing and you struggle to listen, that could very well be why. A lot of times that's the case, where it's a mental thing, it's a brain thing. You just got to get more comfortable behind the kit by building more coordination, by just logging the hours, playing as often as you can so that the kit becomes a comfort zone, so that physically you don't really have to worry about it and you can focus on listening. So if those are the challenges going on, if you're able to self-diagnose and honestly say, yeah, Steven, this is what's going on here. I've got a weak hand and it's causing me all this trouble and it's distracting me, so I'm not able to fit my way through a song because I'm worried about my left hand playing in time, and I can't play fills cleanly because my navigation around the kit isn't great. If those are things going on, the fact that you're self-diagnosing that is awesome, because of course in order to solve it, you've got to know what's going on. And the reason I throw these things out there is to say, hey, could this be a problem? I want you to evaluate yourself. I want you to video yourself playing, record yourself, and figure out, hey, is there something going on here? Something that I need to work on, something I need to focus on. There are so many lessons on this channel about hand technique, so I'll link some of those below. Be sure to check them out, because when you work on your hand technique, when you smoothen out your grip, that totally revolutionizes everything else. That's not an exaggeration. I'm dead serious that when you get your grip doing what it needs to do, you get the stick bouncing the way it should, everything becomes easier, you navigate around the kit more smoothly, you relax while you're playing, and then you can focus on the music. You can focus on being a musician and playing well with a band. But be working on your coordination. Be consistently building hand technique and working coordination. That way all of the listening can come to fruition. Because it's hard for the listening skills, the song form prediction, all those mental things, oral things, it's hard for those things to come to fruition if they're being roadblocked by physical problems. And so be working your coordination. I've also got some good coordination lessons here on the channel too. And so I'm going to link those below. Obviously, going into all of that right now in this third hack. This third hack is a huge one. We can talk coordination, hand technique. So rather than try to cram all that into a 3-hour video here, I'm linking some resources below so that if you know that, all right, weak hand is a problem, there's a lesson for you. If coordination is a problem, there's a lesson for you. So I want you to go check those things out and find your weak areas, work those weak spots, so that then the listening action step that you're taking today will begin to pay off, and you'll actually feel comfortable and musical behind the kit and be able to play songs with ease. And of course, before you go, grab the 5 steps to learning any song in under an hour guide. That may sound like an aggressive promise, learn any song in under an hour. Yes, we're talking about pop songs. I mean, we're not talking about a Tool song or a crazy, intricate Rush song. We're talking about songs you're going to play on a gig. And it is very feasible to learn a pop song, a rock song, a dance tune. So many of these songs are not complicated, and they can be learned in an hour. Doesn't mean you're playing them perfectly in an hour. It means that you know what the song is, you know what the song form is, you know what the basic parts are, and if you have to jump in and play it right now, you can do it after an hour of preparation. This guide shows you how, and my goal is to whittle it down to 15 minutes for you, get you to where you can learn a song very, very quickly. But we talk about all the listening stuff, going more in depth with that, as well as the 6-listen exercise. You can see my example cheat sheet charts. I'll show you exactly how I write my cheat sheet chart. And so you can figure out your own way to do that so that you can have a memorization system, because ultimately that's what it is. It's not so much a charting system as it is a memorization tool, so that you can memorize the song, have it in your head, and not have to read music. It's okay if you can't read music. This is a great way to get a song internalized without having to really read music. So I think that's going to help you out a bunch. So we talk about listening tricks, song form prediction, song section length prediction like we went over today. I have a shorthand notation hack that I teach in the guide, as well as the cheat sheet method, the 15-minute method of learning a song. So lots of good stuff packed into this guide. It's totally free. It's a no-brainer. Go download it. 5 steps to learning any song in under an hour without consulting drum tabs or YouTube tutorials. It's yours for free. I think it's really going to help you out. Hey, as always, thanks so much for watching, everyone. Thanks for hanging out with me today. I hope this conceptual lesson really helps you out. This proved game-changing for me personally. This helped me out so much in my playing over the years, and it's been a big part of what I do regularly as a gigging drummer in the real world. Hope it helps you too. Be sure to subscribe if you're new. Download that guide. I will see you on the next video. Thanks for watching. Stay non-glamorous.